and pairing expert student counselors to help students search, match, and apply to over 600 universities in 45 destinations around the world. So, these two destinations, Nairobi and Eldoret, will host the conference on the 18th and 27th of January, respectively. It's the first in its kind ever organized in Kenya. Cradle's first annual study abroad conference is bringing top experts from Cradle and from top international universities from across the world. It's packed with the most knowledge you will ever get at one place to make your best study abroad decisions. And so what do you need to do? You need to register and get an invitation. Go to www.cradle.com or dial 0799 000 444. Get an invite because there are limited slots available and you want to be here to find out what you need to do to get a student visa, for example, to secure one, what you need to do to make the best match between yourself, the destination, and the career choice path that you want to take. It's www.cradle.com or you can call 0799 000 444. There's a gap somewhere sometimes, isn't it? And maybe you just don't get the educational skills match that you need. And the KCB 2G program is filling those holes.
Yes, and it's filling these holes by making sure that it actually upskills or gives skills to those who either dropped out of school or got into these TVETs and need upskilling of the skills. And our KCB 2G says we recognize that over 1 million young people between 18 to 34 enter the labor market annually, and with that there is need to solve the unemployment problem that the country continues to face. And through that they are sponsoring and training students in technical and institutions, that is TVETs, across the country, and with that ensuring that they get the certification. And when we talk about certification, CT, NITA is here to help this certification, especially of these young people. But what exactly does that do to these young people?
There are people who are skilled in that they have had actual experience in performing certain technical tasks. However, when you go into the job market, people would like some documentation as to what it is you can do. They want to understand that this skill has been recognized by authorities who are actually tasked with the duty of ensuring that they certify you. Now that's where this particular program comes in. That documentation is provided for you. Now that documentation, they are called grade tests when you talk about technical subjects. They actually clearly document the proficiency you have because these grade tests have levels. It means that one level you're able to do this, at the next, and so forth and so forth. Now, it opens a door that ordinarily would have been shut in the absence of this because you can do the job, but there's no documentation to show that you can do it. Yes.
Yeah, and after getting this documentation, actually, KCB takes you through another step where it mentors you. It actually pairs you with a mentor who helps you with your business and all that. And after the mentor helps you with growing your business, they actually go forward and forward you now where the bank now itself comes through, gives you loans to start your business for you to go ye and shine. Because already you've been given the skill, you've been given the tools, you have a mentor, your business is doing good, and now the bank comes in and takes over, gives you loans, and ensures that you become a success story. All this information, kcbgroup.com/foundation.
Voila. Our guest for this hour is seated, and I must say, I'm just going to say it, for 5 years, trying to get her to come here. Finally, I don't know what magic wand Lydia has been able to spin, but she's here in the hot seat. We've had you on the phone, but having you here physically has been no mean feat. Woman representative for Nairobi County, Esther Pasaris, is here with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning and happy, hopeful 2025 for everyone.
Happy New Year.
Why have you been so hard to find?
Nairobi keeps me busy. I'm like a governor with a very limited budget. I mean, seriously, women rep 17 constituencies, 85 wards, so much disasters all over the place. Gen Z movement, parliament attack. It's losing dad, getting my daughter married. It's just been one thing after another. And it's been busy. But you know what? It's been good busy, good busy, because even if it's been tough and negative sometimes, it's still life, I always say that as long as I'm alive, I'm so blessed, as long as I have health, I'm double blessed. As long as I have something to do every single day, wake up and do something, I'm triple blessed.
Right.
And as long as I know I'm triple blessed, I know that God has a plan and a purpose for me, and his love is unconditional, and it's there. So that's why I'm sorry. I mean, you know what? Let's celebrate that I'm here.
Okay.
You know?
Okay,
I mean, first interview of the year. Yes, first interview of the year.
Great to have you in the room. This is the hot seat of the Situation Room, and many issues to discuss. Amongst top of them, looking into women leadership in the country, and seeing what it has been able to achieve and what we can hope for it in the future. But let's welcome you properly in true Situation Room style. C.T. Muga goes around the continent every week. Don't ask me how. You know, government's giving visas. I don't know.
Oh wow!
And he comes back every week, one country with a basket full of proverbs. He'll tell you what country we're in this week, and he'll welcome you with today's proverb. You tell us what you think about it and how you would interpret it. Is that all right?
Great. Perfect.
Okay.
We start the year in the country of Kenya, and our proverbs for
No
this-
visa.
Yeah, that's a good thing about it. There's no money in January to start, so we started here.
He's in Kenya.
Government services in January everywhere on this continent.
Yeah.
You know, they are there, they're not there. So you want to start maybe in February. So you start from home, where you require no visa, as you correctly put it. Kupotea njia ndio kujua njia.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, I think I think it's when you're lost, right? It's an opportunity for you to find. Okay, if you're not lost, then you're not going to be looking, right? So I think it's if it's negative, it can be turned into positive. All right. So I think it's not. It's like, you know, to fall is not to there's a saying, kuanguka. To trip is not to fall. Yeah, so I just think it's beautiful, actually. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It gets you thinking. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. It never lose hope. You know, I started by telling you a happy, hopeful year.
Yeah.
Never lose hope.
Indeed.
Yeah. You know, if it's not going your way, work it. It will go your way. If you want to lose weight, work it. You're going to lose weight. You know? If you have a New Year's resolution, right? You got to have steps towards achieving it. Little bite size. You know, somebody once said, how do you consume an elephant? One bite at a time. You can consume it.
Maybe some oil and tomatoes, but all right. You are a member of parliament. And it's interesting because you talk about bite-sized. Women have been noted as a special interest group in Kenya. It's interesting, but okay.
Special interest.
Yeah. It's constitution. That's what it says. And when you talk about bite-sized, let's look at bite-sized leadership. Over the number of years, I mean, we have seen you in leadership in the country for some time. Do you think the strides that have been made have yielded results, or are you starting to see results where we talk about representation of women, where we talk about much needed leadership coming from women, where we talk about the balance of power being struck, having women in the game? Do you think that some strides are being made before we start to talk about some of the things that have actually been done?
So let's look at what we have right now. We've got 29 members of parliament that battle it out with men in the single constituencies. All right, we've got 47 women representatives by constitution. Okay, we've got 7 women governors, 8 women deputy governors, 3 women senators elected, 115 MCAs across the country. I mean, that's, you know, Nairobi has 85 wards. In the last parliament, we had 5 women, not even 10%. In this county government, we have 3. We dropped. So that means majority would be nominated. So we have gains and losses. The thing is, the question we have to ask ourselves, because men keep saying that women, first of all, they see us as a burden. All right, they don't see us as 50% of the population, and you know, it makes me wonder how patriarchy just ingrains itself into people and makes them feel like women should just be in the house having babies and not doing anything more. Because when they go to vote, even women themselves, I keep telling women, we're 50% of the votes. Why are we not able to vote women? But then also, it's the nature of our politics. It's who's more visible, who's in a stronger party, who has more money to hand out, who has more goodies to make themselves visible and having the town halls. But, I want to also look at the executive, all right? That was the political section. The executive, we've got Deborah Mulonga, Health, Baraza. We've got Sopan Tuya, Defense. We've got Alice Wahome, Housing, Lands, Public Works. We've got Rebecca Miano, Tourism and Wildlife. Dorcas Odwor, Attorney General. Martha Kome, CJ. Wilfreda Boyani, Chief Registrar, Judiciary. And we've got Faith Odhiambo as well in the Law Society. So, and then, also in the private sector, we've got quite a number of women, like General Motors, all right? So, for me, I think women are gaining their space. But the bashing, the judgment, the expectation from a woman, the standards that we're held by are so much more difficult. And people forget, we may be holding those positions, but we're also managing the husband, his family, our family, our children, and now grandchildren. I'm a grandma, So we're multitasking in so many areas, and it's emotional, it's financial, it's physical, it's mental, so it's a lot of areas. I think we need to celebrate the woman and to remember she bears the labor of bringing forth the next generation. Men say, we have a role to play. Yes, you do, all right? It takes two to tango, right? But look at Nairobi, look at Kenya. We have a single mom crisis. We don't have men. Men are planting and disappearing. We don't have.
It's an interesting way to.
We have fatherless children, and it's sad because they need to have role models. And we say the boy child is lost, and we're saying, we've empowered the girl child, so we've lost out on the boy child. But for me, the boy child is not lost because of any other reason other than absent fathers, and then fathers who are not role models. Fathers who spend time in bars, fathers who spend time hopping beds, right? We have fathers who basically don't want to work, drugs, alcohol, and maybe there are no jobs as well. But I feel that we need to find a way to make every citizen, first of all, appreciate the woman, and then support the woman, all right? Not because she's the weaker sex, but because two are stronger than one.
Do you think that because of these things that you've mentioned, that women should be held to a lower standard, especially in a political position or a leadership position, by virtue of the fact that she's got these other things?
No. Let me tell you, we are so capable. You don't know the things that we have to do. I could be dealing with my sick father, dealing with my dead father, dealing with my pregnant daughter, dealing with whatever, but I am still going to be there to do my leadership position because women take everything seriously. A woman, even if she's unwell, she will get out of bed and make sure the children eat. She will make sure the children go to school. She will do everything in her power to make sure it all works. She's born with that. She's a nurturer. She's got that. It's a natural inbuilt wiring in her. What a woman needs is stop the put down. Stop the judgment. Stop the negativity. Stop always trying to tell me that you're better than me. All right? Appreciation. Do you need even a flower. You put a seed down and you want to nurture it. You put it in the ground, right? You want it to grow, you have to water it. You can talk to it. You can give it manure. You look after it, and then it'll give you fruits. But women are left on their own. The men are not partnering with women on all levels. And I feel it is a struggle. And life doesn't have to be a struggle. A woman, when she reaches her deathbed, right? How much do you think she will say, wow, I was appreciated. I was loved. I was supported. I was told thank you. Those are the things that matter, and it's not happening. That's where we need our society to shift.
Mheshimiwa,
Yeah.
all these men have mothers, don't they?
Yes.
So,
But you know how many men, in the olden days, we wanted men and we wanted property to go to men. Today, women given property are better off. We used to say the woman will get married, she won't come back to look after the parents. Ask yourself, how many women are the ones looking after their parents, not the sons?
the role of women, it's not possible to overstate it.
Yes.
It is also not possible to not understand the fundamental pillar that in a society like ours, women actually are. That in the absence of women and their contribution, one then has to ask what sort of nation we would be.
Exactly.
But I started by asking, all these men have mothers.
Yes.
Fundamentally, we are talking about respect that men ought to have for women. And it raises the question, where are you taught respect? How does a man get to understand, to respect?
From the father. From the father. If you see your father coming in drunk, beating your mother, not being there, right? You take those same qualities. Your model is your father. But most of these young men, first of all, have no fathers. Number two, the mother has been hard on them. So they come out of them because the mother wants them to be responsible. The mother understands that, all right? So some of them will come out bitter and will come out when they're out there with the men together, right? Because of lack of mentorship. What do men talk about? When you sit in a bar and a man is buying a drink and is bragging about how he did this one, he raped this one, he beat this one, he killed this one, he gets away with it. The bar talk. Right? How many men will say, you know what, we're going to grab you, take you in, because what you did was wrong?
We discussed other things that
I would hope, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, what is the bar talk? The bar talk is, hey, I spiked that chick last week. I did her, right? Or this one. The thing is, we can't be flies in the room to understand what the men talk is. But when I sit and talk to men, I say you need. Okay, let me tell you. I've just remembered a story. There was a time a woman got raped in Westlands outside an Italian restaurant next to Westlands Market about 10, 15, 20 years ago. She was raped, and it was the street families that were there. All right, and they just pinned her down on her car and raped her. And I went and I spoke to those street boys because I was doing the project of Adopt a Light, and I was employing street families. And I went and I spoke to those street boys, and I said, who did this? And they go, Mother, unataka tukwambie nini? Nani anatuangalia? Sisi tunakuwa, hiyo kitu inafanywa kwa sisi kila siku. It's a daily occurrence. Sasa huyo kwa sababu ni mzungu ndio unajali. I said, it's wrong. But you see, they're living that life of, it's done to us, we're going to do it to others. So how do you break that pattern? So my mother was rough on me, she was tough on me, so I'll be tough on my woman. Okay, and then we're breeding, we become a breeding ground, not just Kenya, the whole world over, of narcissistic men. Men who think they're entitled, controlling, manipulating, lying, and at the same time, right, having zero empathy. When you're a narcissist, you have no empathy. You don't care. All right. So that is the society we're in. And it's the world order. It's not just Kenya. All right. It's all over the world. So how do we shift men and how do we shift women so that together we become a unit of love, peace, understanding, joy, fulfillment, positive power? That's what we need to talk about. And it starts with you and me. All right? It starts with you and I. Each and every one of us has a role to play to leave this world a better place and to be good human beings.
And the Constitution seems to have that in mind because it talks about the gender rule in it, where it talks about the 2/3 gender rule. But this also seems to be a problem because we've not been able to achieve that. We know the decision that was made by Chief Justice Emeritus Maraga.
I know, we're not even constitutional.
Even the current
crisis
parliament is
in
still
itself.
not. So then the question would be, how do we ensure that in terms of policy framework that we achieve that, and in the event that we don't, where do we go to? So as a woman leader in parliament, how do we go around this problem that has existed?
So, the thing is, it's the goodwill of the president. If the president can whip the entire parliament to achieve anything he wants to achieve, right, then he can whip and make sure that we actually implement. That's the only part of the Constitution that has never been implemented. The only part. Everything else in the Constitution was implemented.
Well, maybe it's on its way. Some of it is.
We've been promised. He's got an advisor on gender.
Yeah.
He's got an advisor on gender, and he's promised us. We've been to see him a number of times. Now, why do we want that? Because one, it's in the Constitution. Two, we say that, you know what? Give us that space. Not more than 2/3 of one gender. One day, maybe it'll be the men looking for that. All right? Because if you look at the country and you think it's a mess, who's been in leadership from independence? Men. So maybe we need to have a shift there so that we can actually be able to achieve something. All right? So for me, I feel that it will be a shame if President Ruto leaves office or reaches the end of this term and does not deliver on the not more than 2/3.
Why do you think that it has been so difficult to put,
Majority are men.
to put women in positions of leadership? Majority of the candidates are men.
No,
but
yeah.
interestingly enough, majority of those who vote from the numbers that we've seen
Are women.
actually are women.
Yes.
So why do you think it's been so difficult? The numbers you gave us, we've got 47 county governors, we've got 7 females.
Yes.
We've got, I don't know how many MCAs, we have 115.
Yeah.
We have senators, again, how many do we have? Elected 3. We have the rest that are there, senators are nominated. Why is it so difficult? Majority of voters, women.
Yeah.
Why is it so difficult in your opinion?
I think we need to talk to the women to give us the confidence, to gain the confidence, and to give us the opportunity to serve. And a lot of things that affect the family, women can articulate them better. And we've seen that with issues of sanitary towels, sexual offences bill, we education. Like recently, I brought a motion into Parliament on free bursaries. All right, it was shot down completely. And we had the issue of St. Anne's recently, where the girls were put out. All right, and you ask if school was free, if secondary school was free, like primary school, then there'd be no child sent home. All right, but we want to have these bursaries and we want to split them, and we don't even know, we can't even account for what they're doing in the various schools. Okay, so for me, I feel that we have women voters, but we don't need just the women to vote for women. We need everyone to understand that women can deliver. But the patriarchal lining of the African man is still not seeing women in a position of leadership.
Even women? And I have to...
Yes, and even women.
We're going to go to break in a minute, but I have to ask that question. There have been women, for example, who've put themselves up to run for president. Not once, not twice.
Charity Ngilu, Martha Karua.
There have been women. There have been women who've been pitted against men. And so are we saying that the reason why they have not been given the opportunity to fill those positions is because there is doubt in their ability to deliver?
Yes, and then there's also a lot more money backing the men's candidature so that the man is able to be more visible and more able to connect with the grassroots than the woman. And then patriarchy. Even women are told by men how to vote. But now that we have a single mom crisis, there are no men going to be able to tell women what to do. All right, women need to make that decision. So it's an opportunity for us to get more seats as women. Remember, it's the first time we reached 10%, 29 out of 290, and then we lost one because Alice Wahome went out, and then we got a man come back in. So for me, I believe that we're getting there, but it's an effort that we have to make, but at least give us what was constitutionally ours. 1/3, we need that not more than 2/3 gender rule to be passed. And now that we have a new chair for NGEC, and she's determined to make sure that that will happen. So I believe that if we give the resources, she'll be able to fight for it, and we'll be able to attain that. Once we've got that, at least what was in the Constitution for us as women will be given. And then we've got work to do. We've got work to do. As women leaders, we've got work to do to appeal to our women and to also appeal to our men to see us as good leaders. Look at America. I really honestly thought Kamala Harris was going to come in, and then look what happened. right?
There are many arguments as to why she didn't.
I know.
Nairobi Women Representative Esther Passaris is our guest this hour, and we're looking at women leadership. Are we looking towards a time where the axis is going to shift? What needs to happen in order for there to be an inclusive leadership, an inclusive government when it comes to these numbers? Are we there yet? We continue with the conversation at 26 minutes to 10 o'clock. We'll be back after this. In school have sanitary towels, making sure that women in markets are. So what's that no, I mean, what's that role? I mean, before we go back, because we're now trying to graduate this conversation and say, okay, fine, what is it that we should see Esther Passaris doing? What should we see others in other counties doing for us to know that this is not just taking care of the needs of women, but what we're saying is that other things are being done by this member of parliament?
Yeah. Okay. So the thing is, it's funny. It's like the cat and mouse story, or the chicken and egg. So what's happening is the electorate in Kenya, if they were only electing leaders to go into parliament to legislate, to pass budgets, to oversight, right, the executive, I think very few would actually come out and vote an MP. The irony is, much as they want to see you and feel you in the ground, right, they don't want you to have the funds to work in the ground.
Who?
The electorate. Like when you talk about CDF, when you talk about NGAF, the funds that are entrusted to the legislators, right? They don't want to see you having those funds. But at the same time, they expect you to be on the ground to support them. There's this saying, mkono mtupu hairambwi, Can you imagine if I have to go into any corner of my Nairobi, if I don't have liquid cash on me, I cannot move around. They are, it's like we've become thuggery. It's happening. So they will block you. They will want money, and it's become a norm. They will follow you with borders. They want money. So they think, we've given you this job. You're earning this salary. We should have this money.
So I don't understand. Please explain this to me. You said the electorate don't want the elected leaders to have the means by which they can actually provide the services that the citizenry need.
The majority want it. But remember, there are a few busy bodies that are continuously engaging the judiciary and saying, stop the GAF, stop the CDF. And yet, this is what connects us with our people. And when it comes to, if you have to go to the majority of the people, they will say, yes, give it to them, right? Now, unfortunately, this is a big bone of contention. Should an MP, what is the MP's job? If my job is just to go into parliament, pass laws, all right, legislate, most of the times it's very difficult to pass a law. You can spend 5 years there and you won't pass a law because it's a money bill and the government is highly in debt and the government has no money to give more new projects, okay? Second, you oversight. So I'm in the Lands Committee and I'm in the Housing Committee. So you oversight the projects of government and you try and give direction on what they're supposed to do, all right? Then, of course, you pass budgets, all right? But in the Budget Committee, there's only one woman or two women, all right? So, of course, not many issues relating to women will be given resources. So this is where we also need gender balance in all these committees. So for me, I feel that my job, when I became a legislator, I'll be very honest with you, I just went into election, right? And I tried it for 10 years, 3 failed attempts before I got in. And the idea for me was I was going to go in there to fight corruption. What happened to me with the Dr. Light project, I needed to fight it. I need to stop this people who don't want good progress. Somebody's helping you out and you're fighting them. So I get into Parliament. You go for your induction. You go, you get in, and then you realize, and then you're told you have this fund. I didn't even know that there was a GAF fund when I got in. And I'm lucky because even though I competed against Shebesh, we're very good friends, and we both respect each other and we love each other. And she was supportive of me. I finished all her projects. Mostly a new member of Parliament will come in and discard the projects of the previous one. I finished her project on autism, and she was there to mentor me and to guide me and to explain things for me. But sometimes it can be a really green place. Now, like for instance, right now I've got a project in my office. Today I'm going to give out 16 million shillings of bursaries. But going to give out the bursaries, I still believe HELP should handle university and tertiary colleges. Secondary and primary should be completely free. All right? All the bursaries should be amalgamated. I'm giving 16 million today. How many families have I not been able to touch? It's discriminatory. I mean, why those families who've applied, and I've got a whole list that I can't give money to. I mean, we try and balance according to wards and constituencies and different needs groups, but the problem I'm having is it's discriminatory. Our constitution does not allow for discrimination. So when I can only give 16 million to a few people, and then I don't know what Babu Owino gave, I don't know what Olwatch gave, I don't know if I'm giving the same families again. There's no system of coordinating it. I don't know if the school that's going to receive this check is actually going to use this money properly, and that's why I support President Williams' Ruto 222 account, because if the money goes and that this public school received from all the MPs and all the bursaries that it received 10 million or 2 million, then you can go and ask, what are you using that money for? How do we know? People have got multiple accounts. You hear it. Maybe the schools have got multiple accounts. The banks have to be held into account. There's a system of how you open up an account. But if all the public schools have got multiple accounts, then all the bursary checks, it's no wonder the people are saying the bursary checks has corruption, MPs are going back to collect it. Today I'm giving out 16 million because it's a vote in my GAF. But I know it's not going to be enough to keep that child in school, especially the one in boarding. It's not going to be enough. It's not going to be fair because there are many who are not going to get it. And it's still going to see children like the ones that were in St. Anne's kicked out. Can you imagine the lack of dignity that those kids feel when all the other children know you were the ones outside?
Yeah.
So then that draws the question, and many ask this, it might sting a little, but when we look at things like this, what then does that have to do with how or whether the leader who will take control of these matters is male or female?
For me, first of all, the headmistress and the deputy headmistress, I understand, are female. The thing is, when that was happening, I got briefing from the MCA because he was there and my representative from Makadara. For me, I think when it comes to performance, a man and a woman can equally perform the job properly.
Or should.
Yes, and should perform the job properly. But in the same level, because there's a standard that is set and you have to do it. Whether it's a girl that requires sanitary towel, whether you're a male leader or a woman leader, you should care. And that's why the budget committee should care to give us more money for sanitary towels, and then also don't discriminate. Why are you giving only primary and not secondary? But the thing is, again, families. If we reach a point as a country where we are saying government has to provide everything, then let us be prepared to pay 60 to 70% taxation. Because then we're saying that government has to raise your children, has to provide the full education, has to provide the sanitary towels, provides the uniform, provides the beds, provides everything. So for me, I feel that something that I'm the only leader who talks about is we need to plan our families. I'm dealing right now with a case of a refugee who ran away from DRC, went into Uganda, went into Kakuma, and they're still following her. And she wants to now be good to go to a foreign country, maybe Australia, US, etc. 11 children.
Where are they following her?
Okay, because she's got a case, and so she's been running away from whoever killed her husband, and she's come into the country. She's really, really badly battered, very gruesome. And the thing is, when I heard the story, and I was told, can you find her a home to stay while we try and get her processed to go out? I said, yeah. And what's the situation? It's one woman, 11 children. 11.
And she came with all 11 children?
All 11 children. And she's gone from DRC
What's the age?
The youngest probably is about 10.
And the oldest?
20, 24. Okay. So the thing is, so for me, family planning is so crucial, because even when somebody wants to help you, if somebody wants to help your family, it's easier to take a mother with 2 children than it will be to take a mother with 11. Okay, because then it's a burden to the other country, all right? And, I was like touched when I heard that this country, Australia, New Zealand, was willing actually to take this family. But the thing is family planning. I have a mother who comes to me and tells me 2 of my children are not in school, all right? And I look at her and she's pregnant, all right? And I'm saying, you can't afford the 2 that you have. Why are you pregnant again? There's this notion that if I get pregnant, maybe the man that I'll get pregnant with will be better than the 2 who left, maybe 2 children, and look after the other 2. So women have got to stop needing a man to look after them. They've got to be able to stand on their own. So like right now we have a project that we're doing, sugarcane. We're going to be giving the sugarcane machines so that we give a woman to be able to make the sugarcane, sell it, and be able to make some income. But even when we give people these projects, right, we find that if council is going to, the county government is going to, Kanjo is going to attack them, then break their equipment, then we are not getting anywhere. So it's like this, Nyerere said we're a man-eat-man society. So trying to survive is tough.
You paint a picture that is actually very representative of who we are, not what we are as a country, but who we are as a people.
Yes.
Because if we have a situation where the vast majority of our population is still in the rural areas, and that the vast majority of women in these places are dependent on men. There is a population there of Kenya who is a population who are born in towns, they are urbanites. But a very large number have come into town when they're already grown up. So the values they have are the same values they had when they left whatever rural place they came from. Now, we are talking about a country where our socialization represents the values of people who've grown up in a rural setting. And the values that we speak of that marginalize women are often most dominant in some of these communities. Now, if this is our lived reality then, and we're saying we wish to see a change where women are respected, women have a rightful place, and yet when we look at those who can make the change simply because some of these decisions have to be political, and we have a constitution that supports it, what do you think women need to do, not just to get their voices heard, but to ensure that they actually secure their rightful place? Because it is clearly not going to be given to them.
It's a lot of hard work, planning, and community. Just on Wednesday, there's a lady in Kitisuru who she's a Baha'i, and she does a soul walk at Karura, and we just went for the soul walk.
Baha'i
is a faith. It's a faith,
No,
it's a faith. It's the Baha'i faith where they believe in community. They have worship places where anyone can go. In fact, I went to Uganda and I met the Baha'i. I went to one of their Baha'i worship places, and she was talking about community. We were talking as we were meditating and walking and in silence, and also trying to connect with our senses in the forest. The thing is, she was talking about community. So these women need to have sisters. Like I have a clique of women, and we depend on each other, and we talk to each other, and we plan together. So you have to have community. You have to have people that are in your space, and you can work together and plan together. But you also have to have your own individual goals, and you have to work on them. But the women in the rural areas, can I tell you what's happening in the rural areas?
Yes.
The women are the ones who are toiling the land. The women who are the ones who are doing the farming. The women are the ones who are holding all the chickens and eggs and everything, the animals. The men are going into the urban centers, disappearing, starting new families, and forgetting that they even had a family at home. It's only when they now need to go and get married that they end up there. So for me, I feel that in Nairobi alone, we've got what, over 5 to 7, 8 million people now. All right, Well, let's wait for the census and we see.
Yeah, 5 points.
No, they say 5 point something, but I'm sure Nairobi is over congested right now, and I think we're anywhere near between 5 and 7. All right. So for me, urbanization is happening very fast. People are leaving the farms, and people don't want to farm. And that's why we ended up in a food crisis. So for me, I feel that we need to find a balance between, the county governments. The whole idea, Baba's whole plan was devolution, take it everywhere, right? But unfortunately, there are certain counties that have received so much money, including Equalization Fund, and you have nothing to account for it. And I think it's about time that we address that. Because if devolution worked, urbanization would be slow, right? And I think we've got colleges, we've got everything, but we also have to have money to get people to do business, right? Yeah, we have to have money to get people to do business or to do farming.
Do you think that the insistence on this gender balance is actually counterproductive to what it's supposed to actually achieve? I'll explain. When we see that there's a need for things to be done, it seems as though we've often said it should be done because we need the balance. It should be done because we should include women. It should be done because there should be a balance in leadership. And that's why things like affirmative action came into play. But there is an argument for getting things done, and the recognition and balance then becomes a byproduct of the action. Do it anyway. Whether you want to look at me because I'm a man or a woman doesn't play a role here at all. But can we see then this representation? Can we see then that when you go to the vote, that I will give you the position based on the things that I've seen done, and that becomes a byproduct of action, rather than us saying, give this thing to me because I'm not going to get it because I'm sitting on this other side of the gender divide.
Now, that is the reason why we're not getting the gender balance, not just by constitution, but by also just by voting. All right? And I'll tell you what, if you're judging a leader by what they've done, then you're going to be electing the same male leader because you've been served by a male. So remember, Nairobi has 85 wards, 17 constituencies. Right? Last parliament, we had only one woman in 17. That was Masi Gakuya in Kasarani. This parliament, we have Elachi Beatrice in Dagoretti North. One woman in 17. If there wasn't a woman representative seat, the entire county of Nairobi only would have had Elachi. All right? Before that, there was hardly any woman in Nairobi in the 11 constituencies being elected. So what I want to say is, because you're judging on past performance, right? And it's male dominated, the chances of bringing in women are much slimmer. Because now look in Nairobi, you've got one, okay, Elachi. We need to have more women. So of course we need to find a way to say, we can do. Trust us, because Esther was there, because Elachi was there, because Mercy was there, okay, because Martha Kome is there, right? Trust us that we can do it. Because right now, if they are judging you on what you've done,
you've not been given an opportunity to do.
Yes, and you see, the thing is, it takes a lot of money. I was Mama Ta. I had already done the Adopt a Life project. I was known everywhere. So it was an easy ride for me. That's why the first election I went to in 2017, I had more votes than both presidential candidates. So the thing is, it was because I was already a brand. I already had the name. How many women have the resources to become that brand? So we need, and every time we tell the donors that we need women to be given money to be able to do projects, the donors want to take us into conference rooms to teach us about leadership. A woman's a born leader. It's innate. It's in her nature. So she doesn't need to be taught to lead. She needs to be given the resources, because we have an electorate that rewards leadership on tokenism. It's what you have done for me lately. What have you done for me lately? There's that song. That's the thing. What have you done for me? So then you don't want GAF, and you want me to come and do projects for you. All right? So at the end of the day, with GAF, I will be able to touch you. But with GAF, I'll be able to touch maybe 50,000 people, all right, in my tenure. So if I touch 50,000 people, then you're hoping that they will talk to another 10. So you will end up with 5 million people thinking.
So are we saying there's no solution out of this?
No, let me tell you what. Life goes on. and life improves. So long as life goes on and life gets better and you're consuming that elephant one bite at a time, human beings should always be grateful. So, for me, I start my day with a gratitude journal. I start my day being grateful for the things that I'm able to achieve, and then planning the things I want to achieve. And remember, you can make a plan, but if you don't take an action, your plan is as good as dead. Faith without works is dead. The Bible has all the answers. You just need to be able to plan and take action. Now, the thing is, I'm looking at this generation that we have today, right? And there is a lot. The population, for me, the population is overwhelming. I remember there's a time Jimmy Wanjigi went and he was telling everyone, have children, because look at India, look at China, look at all these Asian countries, the population is so big. We need to have children. Africa has a crisis. We've got a bulging youth population. We don't have jobs. And no matter what we do, we cannot create the jobs for all that population. So we need to actually go easy on population. Right? And we keep saying all the time, the West wants to depopulate us. And when the president is going around the world trying to find jobs for us, right? It's because Europe has a population crisis. It might be an advantage for us, but we need quality workers. And we have quality. The other day, I was watching this judge. I actually had to Google and find out what was his name. Justice Mwamuye. I mean, I was watching him, and I was looking at the way he presented himself, the way he handled the case, and he handled himself. And I had a proud moment there. That wow, Kenyans, given the opportunity, can ace anything. His presentation, his understanding, his charisma, everything was just perfect. And then it reminded me, today, I mean, I was taught by a few white teachers and a few African teachers, but teachers who'd been taught by white. So they were very, 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 very good teachers. I don't know what's happening today. You can finish Form 4 and you still can't read English and speak English. When we had the nurses going to London to try and get jobs, they failed on English proficiency. So for me, I'm thinking...
It is not that they didn't know.
Then?
No. There's a certain level of competence in the language. The point you make is a valid one. And it's essential on our education system. But these exports require certain qualifications. You may actually know how to speak, but what they require of you is perhaps a little more than what it is that you think is adequate.
Let me tell you, we've lowered the bar, and it's not just Kenya. I saw even England talking about, the UK talking about, the students are coming out of school and their knowledge is not at par with what it was 20 years ago or 15 years ago. What have we done wrong to education? Why are we not churning out the students that are, and we're going back to the ECD, the CBC. The thing is, we have to understand that the world is changing, but communication is essential for everything. So it starts with absolutely good English. It starts, people ask me, so did you study in America? I said, no, I studied only in Kenya. I didn't study in America. I didn't study in the UK. I studied in Kenya. But today you take somebody who's coming out of university or coming out of high school, and their English is not, I'm shocked. And I met somebody who recently wants to is a teacher somewhere, and she wants to go and get to work in government. And I'm thinking, and I'm looking at her, and I'm thinking, your English. And, if her English is poor right now and she wants to become a teacher, how is she going to teach the students good English?
And what will get to them.
Yes.
Seems like there's a lot of work to do.
There's a lot of work to do, but that's life. And that's beautiful. I would hate to wake up tomorrow and have no work to do. So as long as there is work, we have to plan it. And the thing is to have targeted, for me, like Nairobi, I'm targeting what I want to do. This, I'm on the SGBV space. I'm building an amazing safe house. It's a model safe house. I'm connecting it with the call center. I'm connecting it with the medical centers. I'm connecting it with the police stations. I want to have a holistic approach. And recently, something happened recently that I actually contacted the IG. The hotlines for the governments are not working, and I had a robbery in one of my farms, and I was trying to figure out who to call, and I tried the hotlines of government, and none of them were working. And I was like, okay, that's an area that we need to fix. So for me, I want to look for a problem and not just announce the problem, but be part of the
the
solution.
solution.
That's what we have to do. And I never want anyone to lose hope. And then we have to plan our families. We have to plan our families. And let's not shy away from the jobs. On Monday, I'll be seeing off about 16 Kenyans going to work in Greece, in my father's country, thanks to some partnership that our councillor for Kenya in Greece has worked on.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that they're going. And one of them left a very, very blue chip company in Kenya. With his degree, he was only earning 30,000 here.
Yeah.
He's going to go and earn over 1,500 euros. So I'm happy that we're opening opportunity out there for Kenyans. All I want to say is grab these opportunities. A job in hand is better than two in the bush.
Thank you very much. Nairobi County Woman Representative Esther Passaris has been our guest this hour. Thank you for being here.
Thank you
These
for
conversations
having me.
definitely must continue. Thank you for being part of Kenya's biggest conversation this week. We join again on Monday, God willing, at 6 a.m. Continue. Have a good weekend. It's 1 minute after 10.